What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Geek Out Room podcast. Don't forget you can watch episodes over on Sauceless Entertainment YouTube channel, or you can enjoy episodes over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just type in Geek Out Room podcast on those platforms, and you should find us. Today's episode, I really want to stress how weird, unfortunate, and frustrating, and also dire the situation is with this Warner Brothers acquisition by Paramount Skydance, because this is one of those acquisitions that's a major merger or a mega merger, and that it doesn't need to happen. And I wrote some notes down because this is going to start getting into some statistics, and I just want to make sure I got my facts right. So let's get started. Um, Warner Brothers will be 50% owned by Saudi Arabia. All right. And Paramount wants the FCC to sign off and approve this major investment into this merger because the Ellison family will, a father son duo in this case, don't have all this cash. They obviously are getting a lot of backing from the Middle East. I think some other foreign countries as well. But majority, I think the exact number is 49.5%, but 50% will be coming from the Middle East for this American company, Warner Brothers, right? And if that's not alarming, I know that's already alarming to a lot of people, but that's not also alarming. This notion that Warner Brothers is this sinking ship, right? This notion that Warner Brothers is this financial disaster that needs saving, that companies like Netflix before, or like in this case Paramount Skydance, that they're doing Warner Brothers a service. They're doing the people, moviegoers, entertainment and media consumers a favor, the US government a favor by taking on this financial burden. Well, not so fast. This comes from analyst Robert Fishman. Warner Brothers made history with 7 consecutive movies opening above $40 million at the box office. You may be asking, hey, where are those 7 movies again? I got you. Minecraft movie, Superman, The Conjuring Last Rites, F1 the movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, Sinners, and Weapons. Okay? Some of those sound familiar? They should, because this past award season, a lot of these films got major love. These are not some indie films. These are major studio films that got their due and made history. Okay? And these aren't movies that are like 10 to 15 years apart. They're not. They all came out at the same cycle. These are movies that are they just had a theatrical run a year ago. Right? And so that's why it's frustrating to see this. That's why it's frustrating, because Paramount is not some company that's going to come in and make things better with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is a prime rib. It's prime real estate. That's why everyone wants it. That's why Netflix jumped at it. That's why Paramount kept pushing, and asking money for this to happen. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine. And also it controls so much when you're already someone like Paramount. When you have CBS, all right, you don't know what to do with it. You're out here going to war with Stephen Colbert and canceling one of the prime stones of this country's media empire, right? But that's not enough. You want more. Let me list every single media outlet that they'll have post-merger. All right. TikTok, Warner Brothers, Paramount, DC Studios, the Discovery Channel, CNN, CBS, and that includes news and sports. They'll have HBO, BET, Fandango, Rotten Tomatoes, Nickelodeon, MTV, Cartoon Network, the Food Network, the Travel Network, Animal Planet, Comedy Central, Showtime, TBS, TLC, and HGTV. Maybe missing one or two there, but that's 90% of it, if not 99, and a pretty alarming list. All right, that's all. That's what they're going to own, Where's the fairness in any of this? I could maybe, and I'm saying maybe, understand if Warner Brothers was this dying entity, this studio that's lost its marbles and has generated loss after loss after loss, especially if they were trying in the first place to make it a success. But that's not the case here. Warner Brothers clearly, especially after the year they just had, they clearly do not need this merger to happen, to exist, to generate money. They had a $1.4 billion profit year. They do not need this. Not only do they have a profit, they did so well, they dug out of a $2.1 billion hole to get to that $1.4 billion profit. We're not talking about thousands of dollars, not talking about millions, we're talking about billions. We're talking about billions of dollars here. Okay? This is frustrating. It's frustrating because they don't need this, Paramount. And they're a studio that also has bent the knee to Donald Trump. They're a studio that already showed, or they're a company that already showed, that they don't care about artistic freedom. They don't care about the creatives. They don't care about making good art. They care about controlling narratives. They care about what the man in the White House wants seen on TV or on the big screen. Just like MGM, Amazon. Hey, you want this movie about your wife? We got you. Just help us with X, Y, and Z real quick, or approve X, Y, and Z real quick. We are in a era right now, which is not per se new territory here, but this is the most obvious it's been, so that everyone can actually see what's going on here. We're trading political power for favors here in broad daylight. Again, not a new trade, but just one that's very blatant and obvious. They're not even trying to hide this. Hey, you don't like how some of these more liberal, left wing programming is criticizing, critiquing your presidency and all the favors you do for your buddies and your buddies themselves? Sure, we'll get them off the air. Yes, sir. We got you. And sure, if Paramount wants to do that with what they own, despite it being cruel, stupid, and go against everything this country is supposed to be about, then sure. Okay, that's Paramount. But now you're letting them merge and acquire another company that produces their own stuff, has their own media, CNN, being one of the major ones here. And if CNN wants to criticize, hey man, Paramount, what you're doing to Stephen Colbert, what you're doing, bending the knee to Trump, all this stuff is this, that, and that, the third, then Warner Brothers and their entities should be able to do that. CNN should be able to do that. But now they can't because they're all owned by the same people. Why would CNN be able to criticize the war? Why would CNN be able to criticize the tariffs? Right? Well, no, you can't do that because Donald Trump, who helped make this merger happen, hey, the 50% ownership of this Middle East backed money says that's a no. So no more CNN programming. No more of that. Hey, for all those who don't care about, let's go to TikTok. Hey, you know those TikToks where it's like silly, goofy dance and shit? No more. We're pushing right-wing propaganda. We're pushing pro-Trump, pro-Elon, pro-Jeff Bezos, pro-whatever content. Hey, these Middle Eastern powerhouses, where you have your money, we can help push ads for that on TikTok now, on CNN, on TBS. And no one can stop them. No one can stop them. Who's going to criticize them? CBS? CBS is already in line. It's just it doesn't make any sense. The whole point of competition The whole point of all these laws and all these regulations is to breed the best out of people. It is proven that without competition when it comes to these companies, you get a bunch of mediocrity. You get a bunch of mid. And it's not just mid. I don't want to just make it a joke. This is very serious. All thing I said is the better side of what could actually possibly happen, especially with election season coming so soon. I'm telling you, election season for a lot of the seats, then a couple more years, the presidency. I've been saying this for years. This man's going to try to stay in office again, one way or another, whether it's by starting a war or whatever he has to do to extend his term. He will do it because he does not want to go to prison. And best case scenario, he's going to be in and out of court for the rest of his life, one way or another. And he does not want to deal with that. And one thing you can do to help that is by controlling the narrative, by controlling the media. I'm not even going to go into what happened at the correspondence dinner. I'm not even going to go into that in this video. But guess what? There are people who are much smarter than me with a whole team dedicated to research and actual journalism. And that's going to be gone. The cool thing about TikTok is that TikTok has a lot of people who, especially during the previous before with Biden versus Trump, excuse me, a lot of TikTokers got people to mobilize, got people to realize their vote matters. That's not going to exist the same way it did. It's going to be gone. It's going to be shadow ban is going to be shut down. It's going to be out of here. Look what happened. You don't believe me. Look what happened to Twitter, especially during election season. Look what Twitter has become today. I refuse to call X. Look what Twitter has become today. Look how bad Instagram has gotten. It's only going to get worse. All these really cool shows that tackle some of this really hard subject matter, but with care and nuance, is going to be gone. You like those last couple episodes of The Pit season 2? Gone. What's that show with Jessica Chastain that they blocked? I think they're bringing it back now, but it was like supposed to release already. Shows like that, not going to exist. Movies like that, not going to exist. He doesn't like to he doesn't like getting criticized because bare minimum, forget jail, forget court. Bare minimum, it makes this man and his administration look small, weak, pathetic, ignorant, and like they do not know what they're doing. If nothing else, criticism shows that accountability must be taken, and no one's taking it. That's why there needs to be parity here. That's why there needs to be, hey, there's a Fox News doing what Fox News does, cool. But then there's this other side too that can report and talk about what they want to talk about as well. They're allowed to do that. Both sides are allowed to do that. Fox News is allowed to exist and say what they gotta say. CBS/CNN should be existing and allowed to critique as well. Allowed to challenge as well. If not just criticism, challenging. Hey, I challenge you on these points because they do not make sense. And here's 100 years of evidence of why. This merger cannot go on. It should not exist. And the people that you've elected, the people who are in office right now, who are sitting down and not doing a damn thing to combat this mega merger from happening, is part of the problem. And don't get me started on celebrities. You're also a huge part of this problem. I'm not talking about Zachary Levi here. I'm talking about everybody. Because people are saying, oh, we have a list. We have a letter saying why this is a bad idea. Fuck your letter. This is what I want. I know there are contracts. I realize there's a lot of money in contracts, lawyers, agents, partnerships, alliances, deals, all these things that are hard to break. I'm not an idiot. With that being said, the fact that these powerful celebrities decide to write a letter but not take a stance and say, hey, we're going to stall out negotiations for the next contract if this merger happens, because we as actors, directors, writers need to re-examine and look at what the landscape of Hollywood's going to be for the next 10 to 15 years, 20 years, because it doesn't look good. Not on the AI front, not with how Disney's doing with this freelance shit. Nothing's looking secure, nothing's looking right, and a lot of people are losing their rights. They're losing insurance and proper compensation for their work, proper credit for their work. I don't see these celebrities, these actors, producers, writers, all these things saying, hey, we refuse to work for Paramount and WB if this goes through. If it goes through, forget it. We're not working for anything that y'all are producing. Movie, TV show wise, hey, any podcast you own, any network, news site thing you own, we're not getting on it. We're not being a part of this. We're not guest starring on it. We're not doing it. We have nothing to do with you anymore. I don't see that. That's not what I see. So I'm sick of it, because the exact same thing people were fighting and worried about, which is why the negotiations for SAG-AFTRA went so long, it still happened anyway. Because guess what? These studios do not give a shit. They care about protecting the money for their shareholders or stakeholders. They do not care about your artistic integrity or your freedom. And this should be an example why this mega merger is going down, where politicians are doing nothing to stop it, where actors and actresses and producers, directors, and writers are doing nothing. I barely hear about this from them. This should be a major problem for the industry. The industry's already cooked. It's already cooking. I'm smelling the bacon grease. This mega merger is adding Cisco to this joint now. Like, what are we doing? It is horrible what's happening. And I really feel for all the people who are at Juilliard, who are at whatever English school in London, England, for people who are at USC right now and want to get into acting, want to get into writing, want to get writing, want to get cinematography, makeup, special effects, visual effects. I feel for you, because this is so unstable. This is so wrong. There's a good chance that everything you stand for, all the hard work that your immigrant parents went through to get you where you are, you're going to be contributing to a conglomerate, to a company, to a region who do not care about you, your rights, or who you are as a human being. And I don't see anyone trying to stop it. I don't see people protesting this. There are people who want to lose their jobs. There's going to be people who won't be able to do their work in actual, not influencers, not content creators, fucking journalists that go out there and investigate stuff, who go undercover and learn about all these things and give you these statistics, give you these facts, give you breadcrumbs on where you should lead to do your own also due diligence research, to hold people like Trump and his administration, the Olsen father and son duo, a lot of these Middle Eastern investors, all these people accountable. Look what happened to Washington Post. Look what happened to the Washington Post. The future is bleak for media people. And if you think content creators and influencers are the future, they can be bought too. They can be bought even easier. They can be bought. Your favorite content creator, your favorite influencer, I promise you, can be bought just like anybody else. They're not above any of this. A lot of, even actors, obviously, sports athletes, especially like Steph Curry, Shaq, a lot of these people already do it. They sign on to stuff with doing Kevin Durant, sign to stuff, put money towards all these ammunitions, put towards all these companies that do very horrible things, who have scammed or ruined lives, who do commercials for bitcoins and stuff like that. So if people like, like I said, people like Steph Curry, people like Kevin Durant, people like Shaq, people like Logan Paul, Jake Paul. These celebrities can do it. Your favorite influencer is not above catching a check. Your favorite content creator is not above cashing a check. It's getting real bleak out here. And we need to start using our power to vote and protest to say this is enough. Yes, the leak for the Avatar movie was horrible. And if it gets released in theaters, which I think it will and it should, you should definitely go out there and watch it in this for the studio and for the people who worked on it. But with the same breath, I do not blame people for not wanting to subscribe to Paramount Plus to watch this thing or to go to movies to watch this thing because that studio is still helping this. Because at some point, people who have integrity and morality need to say, hey, I'm not contributing to this shit anymore. Enough's enough. And this video serves as a wake-up call to some of you to do your own research so you know who and what you want to vote for, especially because I think one of the people running for governor for California also was speaking on this. So that's why I also introduced politics into this podcast episode, because politics is deeply entwined in this. I want you all to think, because they can do this with CBS, CNN, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, all this stuff. Look what they're about to do. NBC is going to be next. It'll be the last one. It's getting spooky out here. And again, before I leave, going to the creativity of this all. Look what they've done. Like, look how much they ran SpongeBob. Look what happened to Cartoon Network already under WB. Well, what's going to happen? Imagine what's going to go to Paramount. Look what they've done. Look what they've done to Nickelodeon. If they've done that to Nickelodeon of all places, Cartoon Network's not going to go there and thrive. They're not going to do anything that Warner Bros. Has already done. 7 consecutive movies. What is Paramount going to do? Look at Paramount's track record with their films. They can't even protect their animated film. They can't even protect their servers to protect their films. Can you imagine if 6 to 7 months before Sinners was released in theaters, that got leaked? Can you imagine? But yeah, let Paramount handle it, because they're so good at security. They're so good at innovative, creative control and ideas. They're the pioneers of this right now. They're the leading edge in all of this right now. Miss me. With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Like always, let me know your thoughts down below on what you think about this merger. Am I crazy? Do I care too much? Is there no point? Let me know. See you on the next one. Keep geeking out. Peace.